first revolution is when you change your mind about how you look at things and see that there might be another way to look at it that you have not been shown.
Peace and blessings, everyone. Welcome to the Right Authority Podcast. I am your host, Carlos Carr Sr., also known as the KCOG. Why am I here? I am building an intelligent agenda to empower African and indigenous people living in the United States of America toward political freedom and control of their communities. The purpose? To dismantle white supremacy. If you do not understand white supremacy, what it is and how it works, everything and anything you understand will only confuse you. That is a quote from Neely Fuller Jr. We're going to start things off a little differently today. We're going to kick things off with it's time for an OG Minute. Yes, sir. But first, I would like to shout out happy birthday to my third born son. I'd like to also shout out Big Sis. Her birthday was yesterday. And Little Sis, her birthday was on the 28th. Happy birthday to all of y'all. And the topic of my OG Minute today is OG respect. In other words, respect your elders. I had a phone conversation with a relative today that got ugly at the end. So first thing I'm going to do is offer my apology to that relative. But there's a condition. I'm not saying this about everyone, but from time to time, I do get challenged on my views. Now, I do not have a problem with that. But first, if you're going to challenge me, at least have your facts ready. And be relative with your challenge. What are you challenging? What is it you do not understand? Give me a place of reference to start. But most importantly, you better step to me with respect. First and foremost. If you don't know, I'm an elder in this community. Soon to be 69 years of age. I am fortunate enough to see my fourth generation come into existence. That's from me. I'm also an OG to the Black liberation struggle. Now, I've been doing this for over 30 years. People that know me will tell you that's where I'm at. I don't just talk this game, I live it. For real now that I'm retired. And don't have to play the game anymore to keep employment. I can focus on this now. But you have to understand that the main reason I do this is because I love our people. Genuinely. I understand our history. And I'm not just talking about the history that started in 1619. I understand the history coming from the continent. Okay? Now, I'm not going to sit here and ramble on about this, that, and other in particular periods and antiquity But the reason I became a student of history is to learn from history. With that said, here is the condition of this apology that I'm putting out here. First thing, I want you to understand the difference that two words can have that can lead to the same conclusion. Those two words, arrogance and ignorance. See, ignorance is okay as long as you understand that you don't know and you're seeking the knowledge. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with being ignorant. Arrogance, though, you can look ignorant while being arrogant if you don't know what the hell you're talking about. And trust me, OGs of the struggle know a faker when they see one or hear one. Okay? Just say you don't know, respectfully. And an elder will respectfully respond with some information. Now, stupid is a whole nother thing, and I want y'all to understand this, where this is coming from. Stupid is knowing something, but you choose not to follow what you know. Okay? Place your hand on a hot stove. You knew the stove was hot, so it'd be stupid to place your hand on the hot stove. Okay? Well, challenging an elder disrespectfully is stupid. Number one, you're challenging knowledge and experience that you don't have. Okay? So, the condition, and with stupid, you know better. You know that some elders, respectful elders, have information that you don't have. So you know better. That's what makes it stupid. I want y'all to understand that. Again, stupid is knowing something, but you do it anyway. That's stupid. Okay? Now, nephew, for that condition that I told you about, give me a sec.
When I'm Westwood Bam, bow down. Cause I ain't a hater like you. Bow down to a nigga that's greater than you.
Enough said. Now, I got a few corrections from my last video. If you were able to follow or hear my last video on hacking of American mind. Here's the two things I need to correct. I incorrectly stated that the Capitol insurrectionists used Parler in real time to communicate. They actually used that social media platform to organize the Save America rally in D.C. on January 6, 2021, and they were posting in real time to that social media platform from the Capitol insurrection. So I want to make sure I correct that. The second thing that I need to correct is I said critical race theory was not taught in any school system in the U.S., in the United States. I meant to say it is not taught in any public school system in the United States, just to make sure that we're clear on that and I'm giving the information correctly. Next up, I have a interview tonight with a high-ranking member of the Revolutionary Black Panther Party, Kansas City chapter. We taped the interview via phone, and I do apologize for my horrible audio. You know, some old folks still yell in the phone. Well, that's me. Sorry. But I tried to bring it down as much as I could through some editing, so hopefully it's not as bad as I think it's going to be. But do forgive me if you hear the excitement in my voice, because number one, it was such a pleasure and an honor to speak to someone that had the same mindset as myself and had the same view of this country as myself, to where we could really click in the conversation and really move that conversation along. So this is a very serious conversation. Now, for those of you who do not know, this is your chance to learn. And all you have to do is just sit there and listen to this conversation, and then he gives his information and everything at the end of the interview. If you want to move forward with that, please do. It is time for us to organize. If you do not know that, it is time for us to organize. On every level we can organize on. Now, most of you don't understand the reason for that organization and why it's imperative that we start the process. That's because of lack of knowledge about where we are in the United States of America today. That is part of what I am trying to show you with this program. I am trying to show you that this country is deteriorating, and it is going in that way because there is a small minority of people in this country that do not want non-whites to control the political process here. And if you're not seeing that, then you're caught up in the matrix. I mean, you're really caught up in the matrix. I hate to say that to you, but you are. I want you to understand that we understand that not everyone will feel or want to understand the impending danger to our communities. So I am not speaking to those who believe African indigenous people have nothing to worry about and will ignore American history and the prevailing winds of discontent by the white supremacists in this country. They do not want to lose control. Now, I want y'all to understand that times have changed and the days of a single leader is over. Okay? That's one of the lessons we learn from history. It's called Sankofa. Let's go ahead and talk about leadership for a minute. I'm going to go ahead and break down what I believe a real leader is, and then we'll keep this thing going. See, real leadership knows their constituency, and he knows his enemies. knows his history and the history of his enemy, willing to speak truth to power, willing to tell the truth about America and where African and indigenous people fit into the grand scheme of this country's future. Informs people of impending dangers, I should say, and organize on the needs of the people and future needs. Love for themselves, their family, and their community. Willing to sacrifice themselves for the uplifting of all. Intelligent enough to know he must protect his way of life by defending themselves and their community. Survival of our future is spiritual. As any group that will annihilate another group based on the color of their skin is evil in the eyes of our Creator. So what I'm going to do with all that, everything I said toward the end, these are things that are probably already built into the majority of us. Everything else I said at the beginning are things you learn through research and study. And if you have a leader that does not do that, then maybe you ought to reconsider the organization you belong to. But my main point here is leaders are all of us. All of us are leaders. Okay? If you have the ability to maintain a simple household budget, that's leadership. If you have the ability to organize yourself, your family, that's leadership. Okay? What I am breaking down here is that all of us need to be leaders now. We can no longer afford for just a few people to lead us to the promised land. This now has to be a group effort. A real group effort. We must work together in order to get this done. And in doing so, one of the things we have to do is of the black radical left and the black liberation struggle that we went through in the 50s, 60s, and 70s into the 80s. We have to go back and revisit this information and our real heroes are. Okay? I'm going to bring up one today with Brother... we're going to get to the interview here in a minute, but let me bring up this brother real quick here. And that's Brother Pete O'Neill. And I had the pleasure to meet Pete O'Neill's wife back in November at an event that I attended. And his wife, Charlotte, Mama C. O'Neill, just happened to be at that event as one of the honorees and speakers and elders for that particular event. And what I am showing you right now is the their website from the United African Alliance Community Center in Tanzania. Pete O'Neill, the former chairman of the Kansas City chapter of the Black Panther Party, was forced to flee the United States on some trumped up gun charges of him transporting a gun across state line, which became a federal crime at that point. And Pete was trying to legally beat this charge, but it was clear that they were intending to send him or lock him up. So he made the decision to leave the United States, and he has been living in Tanzania now for, I think he left here in the 70s, for over 30 years. Well, this is the work the brother is doing over there. And if you don't know, here's Pete and Mama C. O'Neill, Pete O'Neill and Mama C. Charlotte O'Neill. And this is the work that they are doing in their village in Tanzania. Okay. Just so that y'all have an idea of this brother continuing his struggle, and he still cannot come home because the warrant is still out for his arrest. And even though his third cousin sits in Congress, Emmanuel Cleaver, they cannot get the justice system or the executive branch to pardon him, including Barack Obama. Okay. So I wanted y'all to see the work that this brother has to continue to do away from his homeland because of the COINTELPRO programs that were in place during that time to eliminate all Black Panthers. Now, most of you know that I lived in Omaha, Nebraska as well. And as I said, because I was in Omaha doesn't mean I discontinued my work in the struggle. And again, I want to remind y'all of the United African Alliance Community Center. You can check this work at uaacc.org. Okay, that's where you can check his work at. U as in you, A as in apple, A as in apple, C as in Charlie, C as in Charlie.org. Now, the next one I'm going to show you guys is from Omaha, Nebraska. And I told you I've been doing work here for some time. Well, I'm getting ready to prove it. Y'all stay with me. You should be viewing Ed Poindexter and his information. He's been locked up in Nebraska State Penitentiary now for 48 years for a crime that he did not commit. All right. This gentleman's name is Ed Poindexter. He was a part of the Black Panther movement in Omaha, Nebraska. He was also, I'll give you the rest of the information in a moment. I'm going to flip over and also show you Mondo, the other gentleman that is part of what is known as the Omaha Two. Okay. And here's the picture of Mondo. Also known as David Rice, Mondo is down among our ancestors. Mondo passed in prison in 2016. And the beautiful thing, I met Mondo. I told you I've been doing work. I met Mondo twice in prison with his organization called Harambe. Okay? I was one of the outside supporters to the program and had visited NSP numerous times. And when it also went to Tecumseh prison, I also visited there numerous times in support of the Harambe program behind the wall. We also did it in the Omaha Correctional Center in Omaha, Nebraska. Okay. Little history on Mondo. See, Mondo never accepted the fact that he was jailed for murder because he know he didn't commit the crime. So Mondo never conformed to standard prison issue clothing. The picture you're seeing of Mondo is generally something that he would wear, or a t-shirt. He always wore sandals. He never wore the prison issue tennis shoes and shower shoes. The reason Mondo said he did that was because even though they had physically imprisoned him, that they had not mentally imprisoned him. Mondo did great work for people who don't know of Mondo. Mondo also, well, before I get to that, let me show you a little bit of this. Yeah, let me show you a little bit of this. So just give me another second. Let me transition onto another screen. Now you should be viewing a screen that is showing the North Omaha history of the Omaha Black Panthers. They're also known as the Omaha Two. I'm not going to get into the whole case, but I would recommend that people look into the story behind the Omaha Two to see how these two brothers were framed. And here, that's it, Poindexter right there. Here is their headquarters. As the Black Panther Party was going through some changes around this time, this is about 1970, 1971, the Omaha chapter of the Panthers was somewhat decommissioned, and they then took up the name of the National Committee to Combat Fascism was the banner they were flying, but you can still see they were Panthers. You can see Huey Newton right there. So this is history that everyone needs to look into on the Omaha Two. Unfortunately, I did not get the pleasure to meet Ed in prison. Ed was a little bit more reserved after he was incarcerated. He did go on to write some materials. I believe he wrote 2 books, one being a children's book, where Mondo went on to do poetry books. And as I said, he created the organization of Harambe, that would teach African culture and bring black men to African manhood. Okay. So I do recommend people do follow up on this story. It is an excellent story. I will give you just a little bit more of this, and then we'll get ready for our presentation. What I'm looking at here is this is framed, is done by Michael Richardson. It is a series about the Omaha Two, and you can see it right there. Do look this up, and do keep in mind, I met Michael Richardson, who is the guy right here. I met Michael Richardson, and in fact, we supported Michael Richardson in his presentation to get this information out. And we did a presentation at the Malcolm X Center in Omaha, Nebraska with Michael Richardson to present this material for us. And he went on to create the documentary Frame. Michael is no longer living here in the U.S. I believe he left the country. But I do believe that this is good information for our community to know, because this is about the real heroes of the Black Power movement of the late 60s and 70s that were incarcerated just for standing up for our rights in our community. So this is powerful information for most people to have, just so that you understand the connection, okay? Now, I'm going to divert back a little bit to Mondo, just to show you guys the type of work that we put in, or I put in, and why I consider myself an OG of the struggle. When Mondo passed in prison, in Nebraska State Prison, the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation held Mondo's memorial at the center. Okay. And yes, sir, I was a part of that. I'm telling you, I put in work. I do this. Okay. I support our political prisoners today. I support them through their Patreon page of patreon.com, Veteran Black Panthers. I support them on that page with a monthly donation. I suggest everyone else go in and do the same. And the last thing I'm going to do for you guys is to show you the kind of connection there is with our OGs, our political prisoners. If you're familiar with Momia Abu Jamal, he even did a piece for Mondo. Let me see if I can find it. I'm looking for it now.
Mondo mourned. He was born David Rice, and in his youth he joined an offshoot of the Black Panther Party, a decision that would change his life's trajectory. For when he and another young man, Edward Poindexter, joined the National Committee to Combat Fascism, they walked into the crosshairs of the state. The two men became enmeshed in a COINTELPRO scheme to remove them from the streets of Lincoln, Nebraska. Rice and Ed were charged with the August 1970 killing of an Omaha cop who picked up a briefcase loaded with dynamite. According to the group Nebraskans for Justice, another man, Christopher Peake was the state's only suspect in the bombing. But shortly thereafter, after first exonerating Rice and Poindexter, Peake would become the state's chief witness against them. In April 1971, both men were convicted and given life terms. Such flimsy evidence would be a factor in Amnesty International naming the two Panthers as prisoners of conscience. On Sunday, we learned that Rice, who had changed his name to Mondo Langa, died a lonely death in his prison cell after many years in a cage. Mondo and Ed were members of the National Committee to Combat Fascism, but in truth, they were Panthers, for that is certainly how the state treated them. Mondo Langa and Ed Poindexter were servants of the people, dedicated to their freedom and dignity. Mondo Langa and Ed Poindexter were soldiers for the people, dedicated to their defense and security. Mondo Langa is no more. Neither is David Rice. And yet Mondo will be remembered for many long years for his service. Mondo, after many, many years in a cage, now joins his ancestors. From Imprisoned Nation, this is Mumia Abu Jamal. Mondo mourned.
Rest in power to Mondo Langa. Brother did a lot of great work in our community before being incarcerated on trumped-up charges for a crime he did not commit. You see this same pattern going on today. You saw it with Kevin Strickland. You're seeing it with Keith Carnes, where these brothers are being incarcerated for crimes they did not commit. This is a political thing with Mondo and Ed and other Black Panther Party members. We do not recognize our real heroes, okay? I'm showing you two, actually three, Pete O'Neill out in Tanzania. These are our real heroes. These are the people that had to give up their way of life because they fought to give us a better life. These are our heroes. And if you notice, I did not run anything doing Black History Month. And I did that for a reason, because I can no longer accept 28 days to tell our entire history. I can no longer accept that. Our history should be an ongoing learning experience. Ongoing. Every day. 365. Okay? Show you one more piece here. And before I do that, I want y'all to, because I support political prisoners, I want y'all to have the information on how to support our political prisoners. And it starts by knowing how to get in touch with them. What you see here is how to contact Ed Poindexter. He is still in prison in Nebraska State Penitentiary. All his information is here. You can see that the brother's been denied parole 4 times and has been in prison 48 plus years. This brother needs our support. I understand his health is not the greatest. He has diabetes. Ed has not been completely quiet in prison. He has written books. That information is out there. But if you want to do something to support this brother, just send him a letter, or you can support my program, and the proceeds from this program will be sent over to support the veterans of Black Panthers. Okay? You have a choice in that. But do consider this. You can find this information at jerichomovement.org. com. JerichoMovement.com. The JerichoMovement.com is where you can find this information, and I ask you to please support our political prisoners. Please support them. They need to hear from us. They need the encouragement from us. They need this support. And there's more coming, because they're now working on developing housing for our political prisoners, for those who happen to get free. And it's all a beautiful thing. So please, JerichoMovement.com, go there, check it out, and help us support our political prisoners. Now, with all that said, we're getting to a point to where I gave you the background, not only on myself and the type of work that I do and what I am presenting to you guys. I also, from time to time, will take on an interview, and I have an interview that I'm going to play for you guys. Now, for you who do not have the patience, the interview is about 50 minutes long, and I'm already 45 minutes into this program. So this is going to be a long one, but you can break it up if you like. You can fast forward, move it anywhere you want to move it, but I do want you guys to hear this interview, okay? And with that, we're going to go ahead and get directly into the interview. I'll be back with you at the end of the interview just to close the program out, okay? Enjoy the talk. Again, I'm speaking with the highest ranking member of the Kansas City chapter, Revolutionary Black Panther Party. See you on the other side.